everyone to my second attempt at a new thing that I'm going to do called Roam for Results Live. I haven't streamed before, so I'm learning, and obviously not very well. My first streaming of last week was a complete and abject failure. So let's hope that this week will actually be better. So you can be watching from either YouTube, or perhaps you're watching us live on Facebook. Either way, welcome, welcome. If you can hear me and everything looks good, you can give me a shout out in the comments and let me know that you're here and where you're from. In the beginning, I don't expect to have a lot of folks on these live streams, since I didn't even advertise this one beyond a single tweet. But hopefully, as we get into doing more and more of these, we can up the audience a little bit, and we can become a little Roam for Results live tribe. Hi, Colby. Thanks. You say it sounds and looks good. I think you're the only one with me just now. Hello to Canada. So I'm going to take it slow this time and make sure we get through everything that we need to get through properly without the technology screwing us up like it did last week. What we are here to talk about today is we're here to talk about task management in Roam research. And we're here to talk about task management specifically using the Roam42 Workbench feature of Inbox, which is a really, really cool way of making sure that task management is easy and simple. So I basically have been trying to be productive for about probably 30 years. And so you can imagine I've tried every kind of productivity system and every kind of methodology for managing my tasks. And my key focus on task management throughout that I've learned from all of these years of working on productivity is that it has to be simple and it has to be clean, and it has to just not get in the way. I have found that tasks can become a really terrible source of procrastination. And if you are a procrastinator like me, you will look for any procrastination sources you can find. So the best way to implement a task management system is to ensure that you're not implementing tasks just simply to procrastinate. So what we're going to talk about today is task management in Roam research. We're going to talk about how I started doing task management, where I moved to, and then what became of my task management system after Roam42's workspace was released with Inbox. So starting from the beginning, I'd like to first just have a quick word about weekly planning. Weekly planning is something that I have found is the best approach for me to manage my task scheduling. Weekly planning may not work for you, but I'm going to show you what I do just so that you can maybe have some ideas stimulated for your own planning process. So I'm actually going to share a Roam screen with you now. Let me make sure this is set up correctly. This is me learning my streaming. That's going to be in the way. So how can I make that smaller? Okay, we'll have to deal with that for now. So here we are in Roam, and what I do is at the end of every week, so on a Sunday, I will actually set up my weekly plan. And I have used a Roam42 workspace and smart block together to set me off on getting that done. So I'm going to start a new week here to show you what a weekly plan is going to look like. The dates will be wrong because I'm not running it on a Sunday. And I know I can fix that with date basis, but I haven't gotten to that yet. So here's me creating a new week. What I will do is I will run the weekly plan smart block, which opens my week. And you'll see what happens. It runs the smart block, but at the same time, it opens my inbox on the left-hand side. And my inbox is where all of my tasks sat in my process prior to implementing the new process that I use with task management with Roam42's inbox. So this is the old inbox. And the reason I left this is because I didn't change everything so that I would be able to show you exactly how the weekly plan works. So it looks like my smart block didn't run very well. So I'm actually going to run that again. It might be something to do with all the power I am using to do this video. So let me run that again. And the smart block still is not running. Yes, there it goes. It looks like it's very slow. So what happens in my weekly plan is I open my week. As you can see, it gives me all of the tasks that I haven't completed yet. And those will mostly be from my prior week. And the reason is because I have added a little bit to my process where I keep tasks out of my inbox unless I'm actually ready to do them. So the reason I'm showing you this is to suggest to you that you take time at the beginning of every week to actually put together a weekly plan. So what I would do normally is I would generate my weekly plan, and then I would go through, I would review all of my old to-dos. I would set up my weekly goals. Now I have a process by which I do my work during the week. And so I have categories that I set my goals underneath. You don't have to do it this way. You can just put your general weekly goals. And then what I would do is within my daily goals, oh, sorry, sidebar is covering my face cam. Let me take my face out. This is what I'm talking about, guys. Definitely a learning process for me. I don't know how to make me smaller. Or move the face cam. Let me see. I can hide me. Looks like I have to share my camera in order for you to hear me. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of research into why I can't make myself smaller. Yes, live production is no fun. Actually, this is what I was afraid of that happened before. Okay, so let's just, unfortunately, look at my big face. Can you, let me see if this is better. That's no good. Okay, can you see the screen of the shared Chrome screen enough for me to continue? Yeah, I know, but in full screen, you can't hear me because I need to be showing this. This is the problem I had last week, is that the software that I'm using has all these limitations that you don't find out about until you actually do a live show. So you actually have to do a live show and look like an idiot to find out all the things that you need to fix for the next time. So we'll just work with it for this right now. And sorry you have to look at my big face, but I don't want to not show you what I was showing you. So let me try one more thing. You'd think you'd be able to move or make my screen smaller, wouldn't you? But you cannot. These are the questions I will ask for next time. So let's just go to the big screen. Okay, so here we are. Back again in our weekly plan. This is going to take a while, guys, if this is the way it goes. Back in our weekly plan. And as I've said, I would set my weekly goals. I set them under these categories of communication, consumption, curation, and creation. That's how it makes me aware that I am having a balanced week. I tend to go through phases where I will go into deep consumption and then not create, and then that makes me incredibly anxious. So this is a very personal perspective of how I set up my goals. And of course, as I always say in all of the classes that I do for my academic course, is your process is your own. So you have to find out what works for you, but here's just an idea. And then what you would do is you would actually schedule your daily tasks. So this actually should say daily tasks. And the way you would do that is by having your inbox open in your left pane. Now, this is going to change with my new approach, but I wanted to show you how I do that now. So that is my weekly plan. You should have some, well, not you should, but you could have some kind of weekly process where you would set up all of your tasks for the week in that way. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about the daily notes page. I'm sure that most of you are on here who are very, very familiar with Roam. I can see there are folks, a couple of folks' names I recognize, who this is going to be kind of unnecessary to show you, but I also know that we have a lot of newbies in my group as well. So I want to talk a little bit about the daily notes page. I actually run everything from my daily notes page, and that is what makes it very easy for me to manage my tasks properly. So if you go to the daily notes page, you will see that I actually do journaling on the page as the day goes by. And I do that for two reasons. Number one is to actually keep track of my day, so that because I am an academic currently working on a PhD, it's really good to know exactly what I have worked on during that day, because it acts as kind of like a thesis journal. And secondly, because it keeps me very, very focused on making sure that I'm actually doing a task and not heading off to Facebook or some other area where I'm not getting anything done. So I work from the daily notes page. Now that brings a challenge to me when I have tasks that come up during the day that I want to schedule. So how do I manage them? Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you about the old way that I used to manage them with. And that is using the Vault. So I don't know how many of you have taken Nat Eliason's course, but this is one of the main ways he dealt with his to-dos is by setting up what he called the Vault. And within the Vault, you have categories for your tasks. So you have, this is from my demonstration. So you have your project tasks, which are the ones at the top. I've changed the name for the new process, and you'll see why. You have your admin tasks, you have your personal tasks, and you have your someday. And he may have this set up slightly differently, but this is the way that I used to work. So what that meant is that every time I had a new task that belonged on a project, what I would have to do is, in order to make it show up in the vault, because if you click on tasks, you're just going to see all of the projects. In order to make it show up in the vault, I had to go actually to the project page. So I had to actually search for the project page. So let's do this outlining your novel in Roam, which is going to be one of my next courses. And then I would have to go under the task and say, this is a new task. So this was quite restrictive for me. It meant that I always had to be moving around into my projects and coming off of my daily notes page. The other reason it was restrictive is because when I got to my weekly planning, I would have to then open the vault and then open the tasks page and then open the linked references. So it was a lot of finagling to try and get my tasks into my schedule. So I changed it. And what I changed it to was a very getting things done kind of approach, where instead of going to the project page and putting the task on the project page, what I would do is I would actually create the task. So I would say this is a new task. And I would put it into my inbox. And I would just mark it as inbox. And then at the end of every day, I have a close process. So at the end of every day, I always close no matter what. And part of my close process was to head over to the inbox and sort through my to-dos. So there were pros with this. The pros were everything was on a very easily accessible page. Okay. The pros were also that it's very easy to drag and drop tasks under a project. Let's just stick with, let's just say magical note taking under a project when I was filing my to-dos. So you can see all of my to-dos would pop up underneath this project, and I would just remove the inbox tag. The issue here is that although it's great that everything is on the same page, and as you could see when I was doing my weekly planning, it was very easy to drag and drop from the inbox onto my weekly plan, my tasks were no longer on my project pages. This is an actual separate page. So what would happen is my tasks would then show up as a linked reference underneath my project. So not horrible, right? That's not terrible that they're down here. They're still accessible, but they could get lost in all of this clutter. As you can see, it's all the way down here. And it was a little bit difficult to see holistically the whole entire project on one single section because the tasks were down the bottom. So what I did do was I did a block embed up on the task page to bring the tasks into the main section. And that worked fine as well, but it didn't help with some of the other limitations that I had. So one major problem I had with my tasks is that when I was first creating tasks, I would actually make everything a task. So as soon as I put it into my daily notes page, I would convert it directly into a to-do. And what I found was I would get completely overwhelmed with the amount of to-dos. I don't like to see that little checkbox unless I know that it's scheduled and I'm going to complete it. So you will have noticed as you watch that all of my blocks that are tasks don't necessarily have a little checkbox, which is why it's really, really important that they don't get lost, right? So it's the introduction from Roam42 from the Workbench that makes the makes this process really, really work. So let me show you how my new process works, and then we can see if you guys have any questions. If you have any questions before then, just go ahead and pop them into the chat, and we can address them as we move forward. So the first question is, what is Roam42 Workbench? And as I said, I know there are some experts on this call right now because I see your names. Hi, Mark. But there are also folks that are brand new. So I'm going to go through some of the basics. So what you need to do, first of all, to use Workbench is you need to go up to the Roam42 icon, and you need to head down here to where it says Workbench. This on your screen, if you haven't activated it, will say disabled. So you just need to click on that to enable Workbench. And then what we need to do is we need to set up our inbox settings. But before I do that, I just want to explain to you the process so that you understand what we're setting up and why. So this is my new process. I am in the middle of my work. And let's say I am working on this particular chapter for my thesis. I'm working on my thesis during this period. And I say, oh, I have a task for this chapter. Okay. Now, I have a task for this chapter. Now, I want to get that task into a place that it won't be lost because it doesn't have an open checkbox. It will be easily curated when I'm looking at the big picture of the project. And it will also be very simple for me to move it into my weekly plan. And that is Inbox by Workbench to the rescue. So what I'm going to do is I have now got this block with the task in the block. I'm going to hold down the control key and I'm going to press the semicolon, and you'll see what happens. Up will pop a magical little box that I have actually set up through the inbox settings, which I'm going to show you. And what this box will show you is all the different places where you can put that task. So I'm just going to open up my critical thesis project in the sidebar so that you can watch this happening. There it is here. I have decided that I want this task to go into my critical thesis project. So I'm going to hold down the control key. I'm going to press the semicolon like you saw me do. The menu is going to pop up. I'm going to pick critical thesis. I'm going to click on that. And you have just seen what has happened. You should have seen what's happened. I didn't put, this is not the right title. Sorry, let me do that again because I don't have the right title here. So you'll see why that matters in a moment when I show you the inbox settings. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to start again. I'm going to press Control semicolon, which pops up my inboxes. I'm going to pick critical thesis, and there you go. You've seen it pop up on the critical thesis page. It should be underneath tasks, but I probably have the inbox settings wrong, so we can go and research those right now. Like I said, I'm in the midst of setting this up completely, and I didn't want to do it until I had all my old stuff to show you how it all worked. So you'll see that the task went into critical thesis. It should have popped in under tasks. I can show you how that works on another one. So let's go, because I know I have set up the magical note taking. So let's go there. Oops. Where did it go? Here are my tasks open. So I'm going to put in a new task for magical note-taking. And I am going to press, while my cursor is in the block, I'm going to press Control semicolon. It's going to pop up my inboxes. I'm going to click on MGM course, and you will see it pop into this project. So that's great, right? It means I don't have to break my flow. I can stay on my daily notes page, or in fact, I can stay on any page that I want to within my Roam graph. The other great thing that has happened is what was happening before when I was using my middle level task management is I was dragging my tasks off of the daily notes page and putting them into the project because I wanted the original task to be in the project. And it just became such a pain in the neck to drag the original task into the project and then use the switch with original to get a backlinked reference on my daily notes page so I knew which date that it came from. Well, you can set up Inbox to do that automatically. So you'll see that what happened is when I sent away these two tasks, they immediately reverted to linked references so that I can actually find out where they are simply by clicking on them, where the originals went. And I also can assign them to a particular date, which is really good. So that solves a whole bunch of my problems. The other problem it solves is that instead of using the inbox, when I need to do my weekly planning, instead of opening inbox on within the workspace, which it does now, I'll just open tasks and you'll see that they're all right here and I can look at them holistically and make a plan for that. So let's talk about settings. Any questions from you guys so far while I am moving on to the inbox settings so you can see how this all happens? Okay. So you can set up as many inboxes as you would like. I set them up for every project that I have. And I also have set up one for my daily notes page because often when I'm working on another page, I want to have a note to myself, or I want to mark something down about what I'm doing. And I can't do that because I'm not on the daily notes page. So I have to switch back to the daily notes page or keep the daily notes page open in my sidebar. And if I'm doing research and I have a lot of different panels open, it's very difficult to do that. So I actually put that into my inbox so that I can send it directly to my daily notes page. Colby is asking, this menu box is Roam42, correct? It's not native Roam. That's absolutely correct. You must have Roam42 installed and you must follow the directions to turn on Workbench. So you need Roam42 and you need Workbench active. And when you have both of those complete, you can move to your inbox settings. And this is how you set everything up. So you simply create a page within your Roam database called Inbox Settings. This is my alignment. You'll see, I'll have to show this in another video, but all of my projects, all of my tasks are aligned with my projects are aligned with my goals are aligned with my ultimate whys, and every page in Roam more or less has a reference to what it aligns to. That makes sure that I can focus exactly on what my intention is for my life in general as I'm working through my Roam database. So that's what that silly thing is up there. What you'll see here is that you can actually create as many inboxes as you like. And these are all the inboxes that I have in here. So the way that you set up an inbox is you just simply type Roam42 Workbench inbox. And then there are 5 different elements that you can set up and adjust for each one of your inboxes. So the first thing is you just want to name your inbox. And it's the name that you give this directly underneath. They need to be nested. It's the name that you put here that is the one that shows up in your menu. So let me show you the menu. So you can see critical thesis is the name that shows up. This is very handy because sometimes I have very long project names and I don't want to have the whole project pop up here because it just would look ugly. So you can create whatever name you want to show up in your menu. The second element of setting up your inbox is very important. That is the page to which you want to send your tasks, the page to which you want to send your block. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to use inbox just for tasks. You can use inbox to send any block to anywhere within your Roam graph, as long as you have set up an inbox for that page. Now, some advice on setting up the page. What I would do is I would actually open the page that you want to send it to within your sidebar first. And then instead of typing in your page, I would actually very carefully cut and paste your page into here. Otherwise, inbox is not going to be able to find the page that you want to go to. So the next element is the text on the page to which you are sending the block that you want the block to nest beneath. So if you remember, when I was trying to send a task to the critical thesis project, they were just randomly appearing on the page. And that is because I had actually left my old title of project tasks as the parent bullet, the parent block. So when Workbench looked for project tasks, it couldn't find it, so it just threw it onto the page. So I would try and stay consistent in the text that you want it to nest beneath. So I've changed project tasks to tasks because I've realized that not all of my tasks are directly aligned to a project while I'm using inbox, because I have a lot more flexibility with inbox than I did with tasks beforehand. So, but you can put any kind of text you want in here. So it doesn't have to be tasks. For example, I also have an inbox for Twitter. So I have set up a page called Twitter, and every time I write something that I think, oh, that would be really fun to tweet, I just send it directly to the Twitter page. And for that page, it should be on here, you will see that I actually have no text that it gets sent to, because it's just going to simply nest wherever on the page, because to me, it doesn't really matter where it is, because I'm just going to go through those and use them one by one. I have put in a request to Roam Hacker, asking him very kindly if he can make a change to Workbench so that you can stipulate the text that it gets nested under, so that every time you send something, you can use different text for it to nest. That would help me for Tweet This, which is the internal tweeting tool that I use to tweet from Roam. So that's the third piece of information. The fourth piece of information is very basic. It just says, do I want this task to go at the top of the nested list, or do I want it to go at the bottom of the nested list? Mine are all bottoms. And then the last is, do you want it to be a block ref in the original page? So when you send it, do you want it to disappear completely, like I obviously do for Twitter? I don't want to see them on the page. I want to get them out of my mind, and I want them gone. Or do you want to keep it on the page that it's coming from so that you know where it originated? So for me, most of my tasks, I want to know the date that they originated, even though I don't want that to be the core main task. So I use BlockRef. But I can see lots of ways as I start using this more that I would just be sending blocks all over my Roam graph that aren't necessarily tasks, that don't need to stay on the daily notes page as I work on them. So you can, these 5 elements are very, very easy to understand. And you can simply, what I'll do is in the description for the video when it gets recorded, I will put the link to where Roam Hacker has provided you with this list, but I'll also just put the bulleted list beneath so you can just cut and paste it. So you can just simply cut and paste for every single inbox that you want. Keep in mind that your inbox list is going to get quite full. I believe it's alphabetical, so if you want something to show up at the top, you can just use your alphabet, or use, if it's numerical, you can use numbers. So that is how you set up your inbox. So how does my task management look right now? My process is very, very simple. At the beginning of the week, I would simply set up my weekly plan. I'm going to show you the weekly plan I have here at the beginning of the week. And then as I am setting up my goals, I would set Workbench up. Now that I have done this video, set Workbench up so that the task list opens in the main page. So I would open my weekly plan in the right, and my task list would be in the main page so that I can see the linked references without having to click. And then I would simply be able to view all of my projects, and I would drag and drop over into the weekly graph, depending on what my goals were for that week. And then what happens is the things that I haven't finished at the end of the week, as soon as I run the weekly open, all of those tasks show up. So I know what to do with them, and I don't leave them undone. So I never, ever miss a task. So that is actually everything I have to show you today. That's my original workflow using the Vault, my new process using the inbox to try and resolve some of the Vault's problems, and then the optimal, clear and simple and easy basic process using Workbench's inbox from Roam42. Any questions in the audience here? And I promise you, I will figure out the technology better for next time. I will ask all the questions. Now I know what the issues are because we've actually run one all the way through. I didn't even get this far in the first video, so you guys should feel good that I actually got through everything that I wanted to show you. Any questions from you guys out there? Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for joining us for Roam4 Results Live. I'm going to try and do these once a week. One of the reasons I'm doing these is because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and I have a really hard time getting the free content out that I want to put out because I spend too much time on it. So this is my way of trying to get over my perfectionism, and it's a real challenge. Given that I have never streamed before. So I hope you enjoyed Roam4 Results Live today, and I'll be here every Friday with new videos, with new content on Roam for results. So we're going to be adding process to your input so that you can get magical output in whatever use case you are using Roam for. So know what your results are, and we can help know how to get it all in so that it comes out exactly as you want it to. Thanks a lot. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.